This timeline of science and engineering in the Islamic world covers the time period from the 8th century AD to the introduction of European science to the Islamic world in the 19th century. All year dates are given according to the Gregorian calendar except where noted. 8th century, 770 to 840. Mathematics. Khwarizmi developed the calculus of resolution and juxtaposition, more briefly referred to as algebra or algebra. 9th century, 803. Chemistry. Glass. Abu Musa Jabir ibn Hayyan, first chemist known to produce sulfuric acid, as well as many other chemicals and instruments, wrote on adding color to glass by adding small quantities of metallic oxides to the glass, such as manganese dioxide. This was a new advance in glass industry unknown in antiquity. His works include the elaboration of the Grand Elixir, the Chest of Wisdom in which he writes on nitric acid, Kitab al-Istidmam, and others. c. 810 Beit al-Hikmah set up in Baghdad. The Greek and Indian mathematical and astronomy works are translated into Arabic. 836 to 901 Mathematics. Thabit ibn Qurra studied at Baghdad's House of Wisdom under the Banu Musab brothers, discovered a theorem which enables pairs of amicable numbers to be found. Later, al-Baghdadi developed variant of the theorem. Mid-9th century chemistry. Al-Kindi writes on the distillation of wine as that of rose water and gives 107 recipes for perfumes. In his book Kitab Kimia al-Otawa al-Tazbak. 864 to 930 Chemistry. Medicine. Al-Razi wrote on NAFD and its distillates in his book Kitab Sir al-Azra. When choosing a site to build Baghdad's hospital, he hung pieces of fresh meat in different parts of the city. The location where the meat took the longest to rot was the one he chose for building the hospital. Advocated that patients not be told the real condition so that fear or despair do not affect the healing process. Wrote on alkali, caustic soda, soap and glycerine. Gave descriptions of equipment, processes and methods in his book Kitab al-Azra in 925. 888. Abiz ibn Furnaz, Planetarium, Artificial Crystals. According to one account written 7 centuries after his death, Ibn Furnaz was injured during an elevated wing trial flight. 10th century. By this century, 3 systems of counting are used in the Arab world. Finger reckoning arithmetic with numerals written entirely in words, used by the business community. The Sexagesimal System, a remnant originating with the Babylonians, with numerals denoted by letters of the Arabic alphabet and used by Arab mathematicians in astronomical work. And the Indian numeral system, which was used with various sets of symbols. Its arithmetic at first required the use of a dustboard because the methods required moving the numbers around in the calculation and rubbing some out as the calculation proceeded. 920 Mathematics. Al-Euclides c. Modified arithmetic methods for the Indian numeral system to make it plausible for pen and paper use. Hitherto, doing calculations with the Indian numerals necessitated the use of a dustboard as noted earlier. 940 Mathematics. Born Abul Wafa al-Buzjani, wrote several treatises using the finger-counting system of arithmetic, and was also an expert on the Indian numerals system. About the Indian system he wrote, did not find application in business circles and among the population of the Eastern Caliphate for a long time. Using the Indian numeral system, Abul Wafa was able to extract roots. 957 Chemistry. Abul Hasan Ali al-Masudi wrote on the reaction of alkali water with Zaj water giving sulfuric acid. 980 Mathematics. Al-Baghdadi studied a slight variant of Thabit ibn Qura's theorem on amicable numbers. Al-Baghdadi also wrote about and compared the three systems of counting and arithmetic used in the region during this period. 11th century, 1044–1048 to 1123 Mathematics. Omar al-Khayyam, Persian mathematician and poet, gave a complete classification of cubic equations with geometric solutions found by means of intersecting conic sections. Extracted roots using the decimal system. 12th century, 1100 to 1166 Cartography. Muhammad al-Idrisi aka Idris al-Sakali aka al-Sharif al-Idrisi of Andalusia and Sicily, known for having drawn some of the most advanced ancient world maps. 1130 Mathematics. Al-Samal, an important member of al-Kharajhi's school of algebra, gave this definition of algebra, with operating on unknowns using all the arithmetical tools, in the same way as the arithmetician operates on the known. 1135 Mathematics. Sharafuddin Tusi follows al-Khayyam's application of algebra of geometry, rather than follow the general development that came through al-Kharajhi's school of algebra, wrote a treatise on cubic equations which describes thus, represents an essential contribution to another algebra which aimed to study curves by means of equations, thus inaugurating the beginning of algebraic geometry. 13th century. Mechanical engineering. Ismail al-Jazari described 100 mechanical devices, some 80 of which are trick vessels of various kinds, along with instructions on how to construct them. Medicine. Scientific method. Ibn al-Nafis, Damascene physician and anatomist, discovered the lesser circulatory system, and described the mechanism of breathing and its relation to the blood and how it nourishes on air in the lungs. Followed a constructivist path of the smaller circulatory system. Blood is purified in the lungs for the continuance of life and providing the body with the ability to work. During his time, the common view was that blood originates in the liver, then travels to the right ventricle, then on to the organs of the body. Another contemporary view is that blood is filtered through the diaphragm where it mixes with the air coming for the lungs. Ibn al-Nafis discredited all these views, including ones by Galen and Avicenna. At least an illustration of his manuscript is still extant. William Harvey explained the circulatory system without reference to Ibn al-Nafis in 1628. Ibn al-Nafis extolled the study of comparative anatomy in his explaining the dissection of al-Qanun, which includes prefaces and citations of sources, emphasized the rigors of verification by measurement, observation and experiment, subjected conventional wisdom of his time to a critical review and verified it with experiment and observation, discarding errors. Chemistry. Al-Jawbari describes the preparation of rose water in the Workbook of Selected Disclosure of Secrets. Chemistry. Materials. Glassmaking. Arabic manuscript on the manufacture of false gemstones and diamonds. Also describes spirits of alum, spirits of saltpeter and spirits of salts. Chemistry. An Arabic manuscript written in Syriac script gives description of various chemical materials and the properties such as sulfuric acid, sal ammoniac, saltpeter and zaj. 1260 Mathematics. Al-Farisi gave a new proof of Thabit ibn Qura's theorem, introducing important new ideas concerning factorization and combinatorial methods. He also gave the pair of amicable numbers chapter 17296, 18416, which have also been joint attributed to Fermat as well as Thabit ibn Qura. 14th century. 1380 Mathematics. Al-Kashi, according to, contributed to the development of decimal fractions not only for approximating algebraic numbers, but also for real numbers such as pi. His contribution to decimal fractions is so major that for many years he was considered as their inventor, although not the first to do so. Al-Kashi gave an algorithm for calculating nth roots, which is a special case of the methods given many centuries later by Ruffini and Horner. 1393 to 1449 Astronomy. Ulugh Beg commissions an observatory at Samarkand in present-day Uzbekistan. 15th century. Mathematics. Ibn al-Bana and al-Khalizadi used symbols for mathematics, and, although we do not know exactly when the use began, we know that symbols were used at least a century before this. Astronomy and Mathematics. Ibn Masud wrote on the decimal system, computed and observed the solar eclipses of 809 AH, 810 AH and 811 AH after being invited by Ulugh Beg, based in Samarkand, to pursue his study of mathematics, astronomy and physics. His works include The Key of Arithmetics, Discoveries in Mathematics, The Decimal Point, The Benefits of the Zero. The contents of The Benefits of the Zero are an introduction followed by 5 essays on whole number arithmetic, on fractional arithmetic, on astrology, on areas, on finding the unknowns. He also wrote a thesis on the sine and the chord, thesis on the circumference, in which he found the ratio of the circumference to the radius of a circle to 16 decimal places, the Garden of Gardens or Promenade of the Gardens, describing an instrument he devised and used at the Samarkand Observatory to compile an ephemeris, and for computing solar and lunar eclipses, the ephemeris Zayj al-Kakani, which also includes mathematical tables and corrections of the ephemeris by Al-Tusi, thesis on finding the first-degree sine. 16th century. Aviation. In 1648 John Wilkins cites Busbecq, the Austrian ambassador to Istanbul 1554–1562, as recording that a Turk in Istanbul attempted to fly. 17th century. Mathematics. The Arabic mathematician Muhammad Baqir Yazdi discovered the pair of amicable numbers 9,363,584 and 9,437,056, for which he is jointly credited with Descartes.